we have reached the NBA Finals in the most unpredictable season that I've personally seen in the NBA. Now, I don't know about you, but I think this was the most unpredictable NBA season ever. And how unpredictable was this NBA season? This is the first NBA Finals since 2006 that doesn't feature Kobe, LeBron, Steph, or Kawhi. And I think an NBA Finals without one of those four players, I think that shows how unpredictable this NBA season was, considering that at least one of those four players was in the NBA Finals for the last 14 years in a row. And you could argue and say that injuries were a huge factor this season, but injuries, they're a factor almost, if not every season. But you can't take away what the Phoenix Suns and the Milwaukee Bucks did this season by getting to the NBA Finals. If you just look at what each team has done in the last, well, considering that this was the shortest offseason in NBA history, what they've done in the last maybe 6, 7, 8 months, what each of these teams have done. The Phoenix Suns going undefeated in the bubble last year, just missing the play-in tournament. There were a lot of people that said the Phoenix Suns have high potential for next season. But nobody thought they'd make it this far. All the Suns really needed to become a legitimate contender was veteran leadership, and they got that in the offseason by getting Chris Paul and Jay Crowder. For the Bucks, they lost in the bubble to the Heat 4-1. And it was uncertain if Giannis was going to stay in Milwaukee for much longer, because Giannis had the option to opt out of his contract. But the Bucks made moves in the offseason. They made acquisitions to build in more depth to ensure that Giannis stayed for the long haul. And those moves have paid off, and the Bucks have gotten to the NBA Finals. So, Johnny Talk Sports here, in to bring you my NBA Finals preview and prediction. So, let's get right into it. So, a key here right off the bat is the status of Giannis. Now, Giannis suffered a knee injury in Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals, but the Bucks really stepped up in Games 5 and 6 in Giannis' absence, especially Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday in Game 6. Huge difference makers. Brook Lopez is also a difference maker in Game 5. And the depth for the Bucks, it has paid off. The moves they made in the offseason. It honestly does remind me of the Miami Heat, because last year, the Miami Heat, they made a bunch of moves in the offseason trade deadline, and it got them to the NBA Finals. And this Bucks team, it does remind me of them. But do the Bucks suffer the same fate in the NBA Finals as the Heat did last season? That is the question. And Giannis is going to be a big difference maker for the Bucks. Whether he plays or not, it's going to be a huge difference. It's going to dictate, in my mind, how this series is going to go. And depending on when he gets back into the lineup, if he does get back into the lineup. Because in 2019, we had a very similar situation with Kevin Durant, and whether or not, when or if he was going to come back into the Warriors lineup. And Durant came back for Game 4, and he got hurt again in Game 5, and then he had to miss the entire next season. We had Anthony Davis get hurt in the first round against the Suns in Game 4. He missed Game 5, came back in Game 6, and he only was able to play about 5 minutes before getting hurt again. So the Bucks are taking his injury day by day. So it's unknown if he's going to be in the lineup for the Bucks. But I think a difference maker, potentially the X factor for the Suns, is going to be DeAndre Ayton. And that is in the paint and getting boards. Ayton, I think, is going to be the X factor in this matchup for the Suns. And I think this finals, I think both teams, they match up to each other really well, if not perfectly. Because you've got Chris Paul and Devin Booker, great shooters. And you also have Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, great shooters. And Drew Holiday, also one of, if not the most underrated defensive player in the NBA. You also have a great battle on the boards between Ayton and Lopez, who stepped up in Game 5 in the Eastern Conference Finals for the Bucks. So on to what you all are waiting for, and that is the prediction. So I'm going to go game by game here. Game 1, I think, will go to the Suns, mainly because they will be the more rested team in this matchup. Plus, they didn't have to travel far from clinching Game 6 in Los Angeles all the way back to Phoenix. So the Suns, being the more rested team, will win Game 1. Game 2, I think the Bucks, they will respond. And I think this is going to be a huge performance for Holiday and Middleton. I think they'll combine for about 65 points apiece. So having 65 points combined, my bad. Game 3 in Milwaukee, I think, will go to the Suns. I think that with Chris Paul playing in his first ever NBA Finals, I think he's going to have at least one game where he has at least 30 points. And I think Game 3 is going to be that ideal game. I also think Devin Booker will probably have about 25, 27 points himself. And I think the Suns win Game 3. Game 4, I think the Bucks, they have a good performance defensively. And this is going to be that ideal time where I think Giannis will return to the lineup, and that's going to be a huge boost for the Bucks, no matter how healthy Giannis really is. Because having Giannis in that lineup is going to make a difference for the Bucks. So Game 4, I think the Bucks basically win it by their defense. Game 5, I think, will go to the Suns. And in Game 6, I think the Suns, they clinch it in Milwaukee, and the Suns win it in 6. And a bold prediction for Finals MVP, I think Finals MVP is going to go to DeAndre Ayton. I just think he's going to have a fantastic series. He's going to get a lot of boards, a lot of points in the paint. And I'm going to go with Ayton for my Finals MVP. So that's all I have. Comment your prediction down below. And as always, like, share, and subscribe. And I will talk to you next time.